from your income to your spending, everything is taxed in India, either through income tax or through GST. Government gets most of its income from the taxes that you pay. A whopping 19% from just 2% Indians paying income tax. Then GST, custom duty and what not. So as taxpayers, we are burdened and we are always looking for opportunities to save some more tax. So this time the Finance Minister gave a minimal relief to the taxpayers. A hike in standard deduction limit from 50,000 rupees to 75,000 rupees in the new tax regime and changed tax slabs here and there in the new tax regime. So now under the new tax regime applicable for this financial year, which is FY25, meaning tax filing in 2025, if your income is below 3 lakhs, congratulations, no tax is to be paid. If your income is between 3 to 7 lakhs, your tax rate is 5%. This earlier was for 3 to 6 lakhs. Then from 7 to 10 lakhs, your rate is at 10%, which was 6 to 9 lakhs earlier. For 10 to 12 lakhs, it is at 15%, which was earlier for 9 to 12 lakhs. And from 12 to 15 lakhs, it is at 20%, and above 15 lakhs, you pay 30% of your income to the government. And because the government wants more people to choose the new tax regime, the old tax regime saw no change.
आप लोग रोना बंद कीजिए, मेरे तक आवाज आ रही है?
Yes, I feel you. Now, as per the Finance Minister, you save up to 17,500 rupees annually in income tax. Iska monthly calculation. So as your host today, I will tell you how much tax are you actually saving from this new setup. So listen carefully. Now, since the changes are made only for people whose income is above 7 lakh rupees, we calculate from 7 lakh rupees for you. We do this in 3 examples. थोड़ा fun बनाते हैं इसको. Say 3 people, Sheelavati, Shakuntala Devi and Shikhari Shambhu, have come to me saying that give me a calculation of how much tax do I save with this new setup. Sheelavati asks tax savings if only standard deduction is claimed. Shakuntala Devi asks for tax savings if there is standard deduction and claims under Section 80C. And Shikhari Shambhu wants tax saving calculation if Section 80C deduction, standard deduction and other exemption from salaries are also made. So starting with Sheelavati's demand. Example 1, where standard deduction is only claimed. Now currently the standard deduction under both regimes, old and new, is 50,000 rupees. In the next tax filing, the standard deduction for the new tax regime will be 75,000 rupees. So if your taxable income is 7,75,000 rupees, under the old tax regime you pay 59,800 rupees as tax. Under the current new tax regime you pay 26,000 rupees as tax, and in the new tax regime you pay 0 rupees as tax. So here both new tax regime and the old tax regime loses. Now if your taxable income is at 15 lakh rupees, under the old tax regime you pay 2,57,400 rupees as tax. Under the current new tax regime you pay 1,47,600 rupees as tax. Under the new tax regime you pay 1,30,000 as tax. So here also the winner is new tax regime. Next, if your taxable income is 25 lakh rupees, in the new tax regime you pay 4,52,400 rupees as tax, and under the new tax regime you pay 4,34,200 rupees as tax. So here also the winner is the new tax regime, and it goes on, and clearly in this segment entirely the new tax regime is winning. Now coming to Shakuntala Devi's demand. Example 2, where standard deduction and Section 80C deduction is claimed. Now under Section 80C, you can claim up to 1.5 lakh rupees as maximum deduction. And that's only applicable for the old tax regime. So if your income is 7,75,000 rupees, then you save tax obviously in the new tax regime. Now here, if you notice, for the current new tax regime, it stays the same as the last example because the reduction is not made for section 80C, but only thing that changes is the old tax regime. And in this case also, the new tax regime wins. Now this is the tricky part, Shikari Shambhu's request. Example 3, where you can claim standard deduction, section 80C deduction and certain exemptions from salaries like HRA, NPS, etc. So now here you cannot claim any deduction apart from standard deduction in new tax regime or the new tax regime. So the calculation is, if you have an income of 7,75,000 rupees in the old and newer tax regime, your tax is 0. But in the current new tax regime, you pay 26,000 rupees. If you have 15 lakhs as taxable income, under the old tax regime, you pay 1,17,000 as tax. In current new tax regime, you pay 1,45,600 as tax. And in the new tax regime, you pay 1,30,000. So all in all, in this entire segment, the old tax regime wins. So this is how you make your choice. If you want to claim HRA, NPS, etc. too, then the old tax regime is the clear winner for you. But if you don't have any such deductions, then the new tax regime will save more tax for you. Apart from the tax slabs, there were also many other tax changes that were made in this budget, like in the capital gains tax. Short-term capital gains tax has been increased from 15% to 20%, and long-term capital gains tax has been increased from 10% to 12.5%. The indexation benefit has also been scrapped, which means it impacts the property investor a lot. Angel tax was also abolished, which is a good news for startups. So what do you think about these tax changes? Let us know in the comments, and please like, share and subscribe to ET Now if you like this video.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.